Do you ever get the feeling that something's just not right? You go through your daily routine, but something just feels off. You can't exactly pinpoint what it is, but it's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable enough when nothing gets done? I have, and I always found it weird that no one really talks about it. So today, I want to talk a little about my process when I feel like things are a bit off. How I detect and decide what exactly is off, as well as what to do about it. But real quick, my name is Win, and I'm a guy who only just recently figured out what he wanted to do in life. But I was lucky enough to have my mom who supported me every step of the way. And I know not everyone has that. That's why this channel exists, to share and grow with all of you guys using the things that work for me. Now that we're done with the introductions, let's move on to the main show, shall we? Noticing when things start to feel a little off was the hardest thing for me, and it still is. But from what I've seen so far, it usually starts with my mood changing. The things that usually get me happy and excited just suddenly feels a little bit dull. And it's not like it's not enjoyable or anything, but I just can't seem to smile as much. Kinda like when your mind is falling asleep, but your body is still full of energy. Another thing that I would notice is that my timing would be a little off, just by a small amount. Nothing big enough to cause any derailment from my schedule, but it's usually a 5 to 10 minute delay because of me doing things a little slower, or because I end up losing focus more often than usual. By this point, if I start noticing these kind of symptoms in my day-to-day, I will usually start reflecting on it. But what is there to reflect on? This is a kind of tricky question to answer because everyone's reason is kind of different and every situation is unique. For me, I find the best way to find out what is affecting me is to sit down with no distractions at all and to just ask myself, what is wrong? With that question, I will usually start to go back in time and look at the recent things that made me feel a little upset, frustrated, or annoyed, to see if there were any signs or reason that I feel off. Be it annoyance from what someone did, or something that was said that hurt my feelings, or just grief from a loss. From there, I try to find the one that resonates with me by asking myself, why do you think that's the one? And sometimes I get to the conclusion like, oh, I didn't like what he said because I felt personally attacked. But why? Why did I feel attacked? Maybe it was because I felt I wasn't good enough in that area, or that I was ashamed of something. By the end of this, I usually find my reason, and that off feeling just kinda clears by itself. But other times it doesn't. And here are a couple things that I like to do in that situation. I find myself gravitating to make some sort of comfort food that I really enjoy. Something that I made with my own two hands. Making a meal where you know exactly what's inside and are able to just adjust the flavors to your exact likes and dislikes is just nice. Another thing that I like to do is some sort of physical activity. The one I usually do is to just punch my punching bag. Remember when I said that my mind feels drained but my body is still lively? This is why I like exercising during these moments. I can use it to make myself tired and get a good night's rest. Whether or not it helps with that off feeling doesn't really matter, because good sleep will help no matter the situation. Taking some time off from my daily chores and regular schedule can also really help. It helped to give me time to really figure out what feels wrong. It really helped when there was nothing in my schedule that I had to be worried about. I understand that not everyone has the luxury of setting down their entire calendar for an indeterminate amount of time, but sometimes setting a day or a couple of hours for yourself where you don't have to worry about anything can be really helpful. It can let you work on your bucket list or just enjoy life. You're finally free to do the things that you enjoy, and maybe you'll figure out what the issue is. One final thing I find useful is to just completely remove myself from the internet. The internet can be a very demanding place that requires a lot of active thinking and brain power. I find that it can be very taxing on you when everything is designed to be high impact and fast paced. Just taking the time to get off the internet and slow down can help my mind to relax and stop overthinking. I feel there isn't really a definite time where, oh, I'm suddenly back to normal and I can go back to normal life. Sometimes I figure out what's affecting me and I can go back to normal because I've found a way to deal with those issues. But other times I haven't, and my schedule won't allow me to not study or work any longer. In these scenarios, I usually try to find an hour a day to just sit down with my thoughts, to keep thinking and reflect on my actions. Eventually, I will find my answer. And if that feeling still persists, I just try to keep on with my daily life with that 1 hour break until I've saved up enough time where I can schedule myself another day off. Eventually, one way or another, I will figure out what is affecting me. Everyone has those days where they just feel off. For me, I find that these off feelings usually have an underlying emotion behind them. The best thing to do then is to ask myself truthfully, why do I feel this way? Eventually, after reflecting on my emotions for a period of time, I will find an answer to my off feeling. From there, I can figure out how to solve this issue. Only after the issue is resolved can I go back to normal. But that's what works for me. I hope this video helped you to find your system and help you figure out why exactly you're feeling off. If you have anything that you feel works for you, but I didn't mention it, feel free to leave it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Kinda like when your mind is full of energy, but your body is still... No. But it's usually a 5 to 10 minute delay. By this point, if I start noticing these kind of symptoms in my day... And every situation is... I was so close! Testing. Test.